Good morning, everyone. This is Lori with Three Keys Astrology, and I am the owner of Three Keys Astrology's business, where you can go to www.threekeysastrology.com for all of my services. I give readings, I consult you astrologically, and I teach astrology. This is your weekly forecast for a very holy week, the culmination of our Lenten, Holy Saturday, Easter Sunday. And the other big event this week is that Venus ingresses into Gemini. Now, last week, Taurus was graced by the presence of Mercury, where he'll be going retrograde very soon. So get your things done that you need to get done. Get the maintenance done on your vehicles. If you need to upgrade your electronics, you need to do it now, not while Mercury's in retrograde. Um, Mercury's ingression into Taurus has finally slowed our pace somewhat. We went through February very quickly. We went through March very quickly. And now the pace is a little slow and a little earthy and a bit wonderful, especially for those of us that are earth signs. And that's because this is a time for reflection. Not only that, but last week on April 6th, between the 5th and the 6th, depending on where you live in the world, we had a full moon in Libra. And this was a big discourse between oneself and oneself in a relationship, no matter who that relationship is with. It's not only husbands and wives, it's not only lovers, it's your relationship with your family. It's you as an individual living in a group, whether it's teamwork at work or with other people. And the energy this week, I'm going to give you a lesson. I'm going to repeat it twice to help you navigate through this week and to kind of understand the cosmology of what is going on. And the important thing about the differences between Aries and Libra, where there's been contest, Cancers, Capricorns, Aries, and Libra have been very stressed through the month of March. And some of that tone of unresolved issue is still going to pop up this week. I'll explain as we go through the dailies. But the important thing is that the full moon, um, this is really, again, please go review the last few horoscopes I've done for you on the channel. I've talked a lot about the power that's imploding within ourselves and in relationships and worldwide because of the ingression of Pluto at a 0 degree into the age of Aquarius, into Aquarius's constellation, where it will remain for several years. It doesn't resolve itself till 2034. And the thing is, it's going to be at a 0 pure degree until June the 11th. We're going to get a preview of what our next decade looks like, all of us, most especially you, Aquarius, and then secondly, you, Leo. Also in this mix are Taurus and Scorpio. And we've already been in the crosshairs of life because the fated nodes are making major changes in our lives. I've gone through them. Have you? Comment below and tell me what your three keys are. And if you don't know, I have a private Facebook group of the same name, Three Keys Astrology, where I give all of my members a mini reading. Now, I'm offering Pluto readings, Pluto and Lilith together because she's in Leo, and that's really compromised to where Pluto is. That's very heady power struggles and total domination versus subterfuge behind the backs of kings and people in authority positions. It's really a tough dynamic, and I'm offering readings that I've explained in the last two videos should you want them to understand power dynamics in your relationship. First, we take a look at you and then where you're having your struggles. And again, I offer just Pluto in Aquarius and what that means to where your Pluto is. And then I offer Pluto with Lilith, again, repeating what that means particularly for you. So the week ahead, this beauty and grace that Mercury has given us by slowing things down is our mental processes and our thoughts and our feelings and the actions that we take, because your feelings will evoke your actions. That's just life. That's the way human beings operate. So your feelings, your innermost feelings, will prove your actions. And where Mars is in Cancer, this can be detrimental. We that are Cancer, one of my students and I, who are both Cancer rising, have been bantering back and forth about the injuries we're sustaining. Well, why? Because Mars in Cancer is weaponry. I have cut my fingers. I've got bruises on my toes. I ran into the wall last week, and she also did. Shout out Emma. So if you're a Cancer rising and you're finding this too, that you're more accident prone, you're more clumsy, or more very predictable when Mars is in Cancer. He's not good there. And I explained why in the last video, so you can go see that. But when we come off of a full moon, and this full moon is right in the middle of something very major and very unusual in our heavens, and that is the fact that we have two new moons in Aries. So all of you that are Aries, Libra, Cancer, and Capricorn, you should be really excited about coming to get your readings and exploring these meanings. We have two new moons in Aries, an early degree one and then a very critical degree one that's coming up at the end of this month. And that is, again, major change like fate is. This happens once a year. Normally, we get one new moon for each sign. But to have two in the sign of Aries is, again, heaven's emphasis asking you to reflect on and realize, who am I? Who am I in relationships? Who am I on my job? Who am I within the confines of my family? Who am I? And what is my place? And how am I actualizing all of my God given potential? And when a full moon's waning and winding down with the moon coming into contact this week with Capricorn, which makes nodal access um, light up. It helps us in our spring cleaning and our restoration of the earth. It helps us clean the planet. It helps us go back to the dirt, get your hands in the ground, get ready to seed and prosper your own yard, your own little piece of land, your own life. So it's a big, big week for rest and reflection. Reflection, well, how does that happen? It's because of light. There is no reflection without light. And this is a psychological phenomenon, of course. It's an astrological phenomenon, of course. It's physics, it's chemistry, it's astronomy. Without reflection, you don't see the whole picture. And without light, you can't see. You'll be in the dark. We talked a lot about shadow side of Pluto, and I went through all the signs a couple of weeks ago in your weekly horoscopes telling you what this ingression of Pluto into Aquarius would mean. But when we reflect, it's a time to be quiet, and it's a time to be more thoughtful than it is more verbal. This is going to crop up a lot this week. And on Holy Saturday and Easter Sunday, this is the culmination, like a full moon is, of the realization that Christ has risen. And where was he? Where was he? After he was crucified in the tomb, he was missing for 3 days. Well, he went into the underworld. And that is why we go through these times in our lives that are the dark night of the soul, and we have to face in ourselves the deception that we wield and the mistrust that we cause and how we steal from others and how we cheat ultimately ourselves of reflection and of being a light body. This week, I think the lesson, and I'm going to repeat this at the end of this reading, is others are not your responsibility. Of course, the exception to the rule is that you're a parent and you have children underage, but most of the people that are into astrology are adults and past the age 18. So again, others are not your responsibility. God is the master of the universe, not you. Allow others their faults, their mistakes, and the lessons they need to learn without you imposing your code of ethics, your morality, your situation. Allow them to make their own mistakes, allow them their own faults, because the bottom line is they have to meet fate just like you do. And in this week ahead, it's not going to be in preaching and telling and corralling and tying up and fighting and overpowering and dominating and trying to control. That'll get you nowhere, but into a lot of trouble. And I'm going to explain why as we go through this forecast. Rather that, let people go. Let them go, be the people that they are. Let them make mistakes. Let them learn for themselves, because I've said this lots on this channel. Character happens when you fail, not when life's rosy posies and everybody's getting along and skipping through the tulips. No, it's when we make mistakes, when we admit our mistakes, and when we make amends. And that is to God, for God, and by God. And when it's a holy time of the year, for those of us for the last 40 weeks have gone into confessions and reconciliations and admitting that we are made of the earth and infallible, not infallible, I should say, but rather prone to these things that are sinful and wrong and not made of anything light and bright and holy. So I'm going to start with Holy Saturday, and we've just had a full moon. So I want you to kind of have quiet time, kind of rest, refuse to engage in struggles, power struggles most especially, and come and get those readings if you're in a couple. I offer couples readings on the channel or on my website, www.threekeysastrology.com. And those readings are as personal as you want to get. They can be about your sexuality. They can be about infidelity. They can be about whatever dynamic you and yours are struggling in and within, and what you're not letting go of, and where that's happening and why that's happening and how you can overcome that. And therefore, thereafter, if you want weekly consultations to dig that out, dig that up, work on that together with my advisement, I'm glad to do that. That's why I'm an astrologer. So on April the 8th, Holy Saturday, the moon's in Scorpio. Now that's about secrets and deception. And it's coming off of what was the Aries Libra axis of who am I in a relationship. Lots of Aries and Libra are coming to terms with what that means, and marriages for also Taurus and Scorpio are dissolving, and there is divorcing, and there is, more importantly, those people being catapulted into the next stage of their life where they belong and for whom they belong with. That's the gift that Uranus is giving us, we that are Taurus, and forcing Scorpio to let go, which is not hard, is very hard for Scorpio. Of all the signs, that's the sign most likely to hoard. Taurus has its problems there too, but most likely not to let go and to be obsessed and in Plutonian dynamic relationships where they just won't let go. They just won't give up. They just can't let someone else. They can't face that someone else isn't going to change. They can't let that other person make their own mistakes, face their own fate, and be who they are. But that's truly the gift and the gold of letting go. So on the 8th, this I talked a lot about the sun being in conjunct Jupiter, and with Jupiter in Aries, I talked a lot about that arrogant dynamic and that overpowerful, full of oneself, I know everything and I am the be all and the end all, this big ego and idea of egomania. And I also made the distinctions between necessary ego and psychological and personality development as opposed to what this dynamic is. This is the unhinged kind. So on the 8th, Holy Saturday, um, there's also in the early morning, not only is the sun in conjunct Jupiter, which is that arrogant, I know everything, I'm the know it all, you can't tell me anything dynamic, but also the moon is going to be opposite Uranus. And this is complete irrationality. And this is when feelings explode, and this is runaway energy. This is when people just won't see eye to eye. So I want you to be mindful that that's a possibility, especially if you're living in dynamic relationships that tug and pull and push and shove and try to conquer and divide. That's a warning. For family on the global scale, I told you last week we would see news that we couldn't unsee, and that's still an underbelly going on. That is why it's better to just reflect light and love this week. What one saving grace on Holy Saturday is that we've got Mercury in a sextile to Mars, and this is a signature to be sensible. Um, when these two things come together, this is great for all of us that are working out, anybody who's an athlete, anyone in any kind of training. It's excellent for all of you that are getting honed up to take your final exams, to finish school. This is excellent energy to put your thought into action. So think things through. Haste and hurry will cause fury with the other contrasting energies that are a part of this Holy Saturday. Um, this this underlying aggravation in our lives through whether it's arrogance, someone who's overpowering us, someone who's trying to change us and we don't want to change, or if you're on the other end of the one being the you think you're the great transformer or you're the master of the universe, this is high frustration. So the underlying aggravations in our lives are really roiling up to help us correct them. So feel it. It'll hit you right in the guts, I promise. And if you're getting those kinds of bodily sensations, come and get consultations. And I taught an astrology and remedy class last summer. Email me at ducky@threekeysastrology.com if you want those private videos for sale, since that class was a year ago. But we went through some very interesting anatomical features that correlate to the stars are made of. Excuse me, please. Hey, so you can reach me at ducky@threekeysastrology.com. Ducky, like a little quack quack duck. Um, you can reach me via my website. When you order readings, I get a notification through PayPal. Thank you for your donations. Thank you for your orders. People are loving these readings. Um, and I also teach astrology. So if you're ready to learn astrology, come on. And if you've got 3 hours a week for 20 weeks, you can become a professional astrologer and open your own practice with my instruction. There's 5 learning modules, but 4 are only necessary for your practice. The 5th one is a very interesting addition to the learning and teaching that you'll have that builds upon each other. The 5th module is not that way. Each and every lesson is not dependent on the one before it. So then, we discussed Holy Saturday. Now on Easter Sunday, and happy Easter to all of you, and congratulations for those of you that have had good purges and good Lentons. Um, an unburdening, really, of those things that we carry. And that's that gift. And so it is on Easter Sunday in the resurrection. He is risen. And finally, in the morning, the moon moves away from dark Scorpio and all that problem and suspicion and betrayal and lies and deception. The moon, under the guise of Scorpio, is when most of the evil on the earth happens. But in contrast, when the moon is in Sagittarius, this is your higher self, and this is holiness, this is legality, this is morality. Sagittarians are lovely, lovely, lovely people, and they're to be around them, the energy is contagious. And so the symbology of the Sagittarian is that he's an archer, and that arrow is of high aim. And when the moon is in Sagittarius, just like the risen Christ, from crucifixion to being debased in the hells of the hells to save mankind of his sin and his own hells, he's risen. And in that light and illumination, we are promised eternal life. So Jesus rises from the dead and from his travels to the underworld, and so can you. And that is the story in the Bible. To see that the disciples were people who were ordinary like we are, that they committed crimes, they were criminals, they were exiled, they were tortured and punished, and they began to follow Jesus and changed our lives and their lives. So also, on Easter Sunday, not only is that beautiful moon going into the constellation Sagittarius, but the moon is going to be in a sextile with Pluto. And this is wonderful, welcome rebirth that's mimicking the story of eternal life that we have in our Bible and that eternal promise. And that is the highest gift there is. You're born without your choice, and you die without your choice. Hence the fated nodes of the horoscope and where they lie. And Pluto, like I explained, not only is a death planet, because I explain the symbology of burning off evil and sin, but this is how you cross that bridge of eternal promise to get eternal life. Also on that day, so beautiful is the signature of our clergy, and it's the moon trining Neptune. And that is blind faith. That's those of us that accept Jesus without ever seeing him, touching him. There's just a knowing when Moon trines Neptune, and it's a high vibration that all Pisces are gifted and blessed with, for Neptune rules them. That's why they're mostly highly evolved spiritual souls that fall into difficulty by earthly confines. So, this is blind faith, high devotion. It's a day to be very, very holy, to be very grateful for the promises that we're given, and to reflect God's love and life to everyone you meet. Um, Even and most especially for those who lie, cheat, steal, and still will. Because again, the lesson is you're not the master of the universe. They have their own fate to meet. And if their concourses and transgressions have cost you happiness and health, you need to rise up in a moon sextile Pluto way and leave behind that dirt that you don't need to be sullied with. So give your love and light for all and everyone on this Easter Sunday, the way Jesus did to mankind. Um, Later on in the day, however, if you're not someone who's holy, if you're not interested in the evolution of the soul, if you're not trying to better yourself, there can be some distress between female members of the family, pitting themselves against each other, or friend to friend. The moon is going to be opposite Venus. This is not a good day to make purchases. The market's not going to be that great that day. Keep your wallet at home. Be like the Jewish, they don't carry money. Orthodox Jews carry no money on their person from Friday to Sunday. So that's good advice for that day. It's not a day to be, I guess Mercury in Taurus is telling all of us not to make any haste. Take things very slowly, think things through very deliberately, like Virgo does, Capricorn, and most especially Taurus. So the other thing as the night goes on Easter Sunday is that we've got the moon in a square to Saturn, and this is irreconcilable differences. This is those families who bury their family members and never speak to each other again, and then have to live with that for the rest of their lives without having reconciliation. There are ways to do that when you've lost loved ones, that you're sorry that your stubbornness prevented any kind of reconciliation. And that is the cure when the moon is in Saturn. Pick up the phone and humble yourself and say you're sorry. The moon in an inconjunction to Mars is is refusing the truce, refusing to reconcile, refusing to make amends. It's hard, especially with Mars and Cancer. It's unreasonable there, and it's frustrated there, and it's in this conflict with all those planets that are in Aries still yet, and also in conflict with Neptune. So it's tough. And we know people like this. We live with them, we work with them, and they seem to be impossible. But again, the lesson is this week is let them be who they are. You cannot control others. So I hope that you'll just be holy on Easter Sunday and be feel serenity in the peace and love that we're given in this resurrection and promise for eternal life. Now, on Easter Monday, the workday feels very, very ill in the morning, uh, and most especially um, that undercurrent of contest. Things get a little bit better around 9:30 at night. But Easter Monday, um, the workday is full of strife and ills. And so, what's the matter? Um, is there somebody that's just you've just burned out and exhausted any possible hope of getting along in any kind of teamwork? The moon's position is telling me that this is very personal. It's highly emotional, and I care and I will help. Um, this Easter Monday, um, things get better as we go on for the night and into the night. Once you get through that work day, this is most especially going to affect Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn, Gemini, Sagittarius, Virgo, and Pisces. So, what's the matter? Have you pinpointed? Have you gotten down to the root of it? You have to do that when Pluto's involved. And this is possible for all of us, Taurus and Leo, Scorpio and Aquarius. Um, but it's very emotional. And as the day goes on, the energy that's coming to us is wonderful for parents to show their children what it's like to be in a good marriage, for parents to prove to little kids how people get along, how people resolve things, and what love really looks like. And that's really important through all the ages and stages of our children as they grow up. So Easter Monday turns, once the workday is done, into something pretty darn nice. I like it. Now, I love Tuesday and Wednesday this week. Tuesday, Venus ingresses into Gemini. So, Gemini, this is good fortune for you and a little bit of prosperity that you only get once a year. Um, and the other nice thing about this is that Venus for all of us, um, and all of us that are born with Venus and Gemini, because lots of Tauruses are, I am one of them. Venus is in a trine to Pluto, and that is profound and committed love. And this is the sanctity of marriage. You want to have this signature if you take vows. Venus in a trine to Pluto is an excellent day for the market. It's an excellent day to take a look at your resources and take a look at your valuables and to make things more prosperous. Um, this is ride or die commitment when we talk about interpersonal relationships, Venus to Pluto, and that's unbreakable um, love that is bonded forever. On that same day, Tuesday, the 11th, the Sun is conjunct Jupiter. So this is wonderful. This is, if you're a good person, this is you getting recognized. This is making grand plans. This is high honors and recognition. This is promotion time. This is those honorees that have exceeded in their scholarly endeavors. And this is wearing honor cords at graduation day, being inducted into the Honor Society. This is so good. This is achievement and promotion and recognition for your goodness and light. We like this day. This is good prosperity, and this will be a great day for the market, as will the 12th. Now, um, the other nice thing that I love about this day on the Tuesday the 11th is Venus is sextiling Saturn. Well, that's kind of the same thing. It's got the same flavor of energy that Pluto in harmony to Venus is, and that is um, commitment and devotion till death do us part. This is vows, commitments, devotions, action, follow through. You say you're going to do it and you do it. You don't even say you're going to do it. You just prove that you're doing it. It's high commitment and high devotion, and it's wonderful. And it's something that you can carry with you like a torch lit for the light that is the resurrection. Do that all week long, and you'll see that the week won't be so bad for you. Also, be quiet. Just reflect and take light in. Get yourself outside. Look at the sun, the moon, and the stars. Take in that heavenly energy into yourself and your being and share it in the quietude of truth and honesty. Wednesday, the 12th, is excellent for earthy duties. Getting outside and raking and picking up branches and getting ready to plant our bulbs and our seeds in our gardens and tilling the earth and rototilling and raking and shoveling and getting our hands into that dirt, planting and transplanting and all those wonderful things are what transformation is. And there's something holy that happens to you when you do things like that. And there's an energy. Think of farmers you meet or people that are salt of the earth. That's really good energy because we've got the moon going into Virgo, which is really going to bless Taurus and Capricorn and going to help us feel like we want to get closer to nature. We've got the moon in a trine to Mercury that day too, and that is total harmony. Your feelings and your thoughts and your emotions are synchronized. You know what you want. You're thankful for what you have, and you have an abundance. This is excellent for little children and mommies. Have play dates. Get outside. Mommy to child, not child to child. This is mothers really enjoying their children, families really enjoying the littlest members of our family, and it's such a gift. Also, wonderful for this day is the moon is in a trine to Uranus. So scientists and breakthroughs in medicine and collaborations politically and truces and great ideas and new plans and new innovation. This is excellent for home and family. What is your family doing? Is your family scientific? Is your family a farming family? Are you a religious family? Are you scholars? Are you people involved in politics? Do you do civic duties? What is the nature of your family? Comment below and let's talk about how different that is. Now, on 13th, a Thursday, it's a bit problematic, and again, it's going to be for Aries and Libra, Cancers and Capricorn. There are things ending, most especially for Libras and Aries. And Cancer and Capricorn are caught in this mix with family members that are going through these separations, divorces, contests, disillusions of dissolving of partnerships and business, anything like that. There's big, big endings and beginnings going on, most especially for Aries and Libra. And for those that I mentioned, Aries, Libra, Cancer, and Capricorn, I talked to you a lot in March about power struggles. And this is for those that arrogant power mongering that's going over that was especially Capricorn being highly annoyed by Aries and that selfish um, attitude about what I think matters. I can't hear you. I don't see you. I'm going to do my own thing. You do your own thing. Or outright rudeness is the signature for this. And so think back to what happened in March that you haven't resolved. That's still kind of roiling and underlying, causing pressure and discord and kind of in your craw kind of energy. This can also be a day, can be a very meaningful day for progress um, for Aries, or excuse me, I'm sorry, for Aquarius and Gemini. So later on in the day, it gets better on the 13th. And this is a great night for girlfriends and sisters. There's harmony and energy between the moon and women. This is a great time to spend time with girlfriends, your sisters, to hang out, and it's excellent too for all artists, all clergy, all creators, all writers, and all dreamers. Again, the lesson this week is others are not your responsibility, and especially others conflicted, addicted, traumatized, embroiled in hatefulness and treachery. And treachery is all betrayal, all lie, all deception. But let them be. You're not God. Believe me when I tell you, people who live like that, they're miserable. And it's a miserable existence based on a lot of fallacy and fantasy and pretending. It's the actor with many faces. And that's just not the way healthy people live. So we've got the moon in a sextile to Neptune, and then we've got the moon in harmony to Pluto, a conjunction. And this is literally honeymoon vibe. It's when you're totally eclipsed and into each other, and that's 100%. I'm for my family. I'm for the one I love. I would never deceive my wife, my husband, my children, my family. I can be counted on. You can count on me energy. So 13th turns quite nice. Now, for those of you Aries are having a birthday, I do a chart called your solar return chart, and I talk about the events of you becoming in the next year. I do Time Lord readings where I map out month by month if it's your birthday and you're interested. And with two new moons, gosh, it should be. Um, on April 14th, for those of you born then, happy birthday. But the marking of the energy on the day you're born gives you a premonition and a little bit of a feel for what some of your lessons are that you're ahead. And this is a difficult day, those of you born April 14th. Why? Well, first of all, the moon is in Aquarius, and it's in conjunction to that Cancer energy. And this is high frustration, and this is family dynamics, and this is tough for mothers and sons. It's internal unrest, it's internal struggles, it's emotionally being frustrated to high heaven. Later on, the moon goes into a square with Uranus, and again, this is escalated frustrations that get out of control and someone implodes and leaves. It's runaway energy, it's ineptitude and struggling, high frustration. And that turns into explosion and impossible reconciliation. So this is an energy that's really caustic, highly excitable, and can escalate into unpredictable emotions that just get way out of control. That's not good. And on top of that, we've got Venus in a square to Saturn. So this is a year for you to be frugal, Aries, if your birthday is now. This is a year for you to be more responsible and more dutiful. This is a year when you need to make up with those female members of your family. This is when you need to make up with fathers or authority figures. Aries, it's a year that you need to get your finances in order. This when Venus is in a square to Saturn, you can feel neglected, and then you act out hatefully or isolationist like. That's possible on April 14th for all of us, but most especially you, Aries. Those of you having your birthday now, don't let don't let arrogance destroy the love that you could be getting from family and friends. Learn, Aries, because you're so ramming through life and so singular in your focus and so hell bent on being right. Don't let that cheat you. The Libra, that is your counter, polar opposite, the counterbalance that you need to get along, to be part of a team, to be part of a group, to be part of a marriage, to be part of a family. The moon is squaring Mercury that day too. And that's saying that you can't meet in the middle and you refuse to meet in the middle and you won't resolve your problems and you won't take a look at your emotions to see why you're tormented inside, why that roiling is happening. So feelings matter this week. And to re-emphasize, reflect, write, journal, think, walk, be in the light, starlight, moonlight, sunlight, and burn candles. Scry into a candle, look into that light, and ask God for wisdom to light up your ways and your days. And again, that lesson this week, as the full moon has culminated in Aries, but we're facing another new moon at a very critical degree at the end of this month. It's going to be a solar eclipse at the end of this month. Mercury's going to go retrograde this month. This is all about contemplation and about balancing ourselves in relationships, self to others. You can't be up on the teeter totter and you can't slam the other person down on the ground. You just can't. The lesson again, others are not your responsibility. Only you can change you. No one can change you. No one can coerce you. No one can force you. If you're going to be hell bent on living dark and without God and without godliness, and if you're involved with people that live that way, then set yourself free. The moon and Pluto are helping you. Venus and Pluto is helping you. The fact that we've ended 40 days and 40 nights of Lenten in the celebration that he has risen is good enough. So rise up. I hope that you are the one getting those honors and accolades when the sun meets Jupiter. I hope that you are celebrating union in your families and feeling very loved. And I hope that your family members know that they can count on you, that they can trust you, and that you're not the one in the family who's refusing until death and then regretting that you didn't make apologies. You guys take care. All of my services again are available at www.threekeysastrology.com, and I'll see you soon for next week's video. This forecast was for April the 8th through April the 14th. Bye for now.